regulation of ECF osmolarity and sodium concentration. We will be looking into the major regulators, including the thirst mechanism, antidiuretic hormone, and the impact of renin-angiotensin-aldosterone mechanism on maintaining serum osmolarity and plasma sodium concentration. So starting from the normal values, the plasma sodium concentration normally is 140 to 145 milliequivalents per liter. Plasma osmolarity 300 milliosmoles per liter, and really the change plus minus 2 to 3%. Determine fluid distribution between ICF and ECF. As long as osmolarity between the two is same, about 300 milliosmoles per liter, there would be no fluid shift between the compartments. As soon as the osmolarity of ECF may increase or decrease, the fluid shift between the two compartments will occur. Plasma osmolarity is mostly estimated by using 2 multiplied by sodium to account for the anions which are accompanied with this cation plus glucose plus urea concentration, among which sodium is contributing 94% of the osmoles, whereas glucose and urea collectively contributing 3 to 5%. Another reason because of low contribution of urea in the osmolarity is that it can diffuse freely from inside the cell to outside the cell. So this is exerting low effective osmotic pressure, a concept we discussed in our first session of renal physiology. Therefore, sodium and its anions are the major determinants of osmolarity. So while considering the serum osmolarity, sometimes was synonymously used serum sodium concentration as well. The key regulators of serum osmolarity include osmoreceptor ADH system and thirst mechanism. These two are the key regulators of serum osmolarity. Starting from the osmoreceptor ADH system, whenever there is water deficit or increased extracellular fluid osmolarity, this is sensed by the osmoreceptors in the anterior hypothalamus, which gives the message for the release of ADH from the posterior pituitary. This ADH then increases the reabsorption of water across the collecting tubules, producing a concentrated urine, conserving water and overcoming this water deficit and recovering the ECF osmolarity back to normal. The osmoreceptor cells are present in the anterior hypothalamus near the supraoptic nucleus. In response to hyperosmolarity, the water will flow out from the anterior hypothalamic osmoreceptors outside. The cell will shrink, and this will be a stimulus for the release of ADH from the posterior pituitary. The ADH or vasopressin is synthesized in the magnocellular cells of hypothalamus, 5 by 6 being produced in the supraoptic nucleus and 1 by 6 in the paraventricular nucleus. After production, this is transported by the neuronal endings in the posterior pituitary and stored over there until there comes an appropriate stimulus. It is stored and released when it is required. The osmoreceptors majorly present in the anterior hypothalamus but also are present in the other regions including AV3V region, subfornical organs, organum vasculosum, lamina terminalis, and median preoptic nucleus, and all these areas are present outside the blood-brain barrier, so they respond to the plasma osmolarity very well. In addition to the osmoreceptors, there are other stimuli which can increase the release of the ADH in response to the volume of the plasma. Till now, what we have discussed is the response of the plasma osmolarity on ADH release. Now, this reflex is increasing the release of ADH in response to low plasma volume, and the stimulus for that comes from the arterial baroreceptors, from the carotid sinus and aortic arch, cardiopulmonary reflexes from the atria. The signals travel via the vagus and glossopharyngeal nerve to the hypothalamus, and this becomes the trigger for the release of the ADH. Although this has a role to play, but the major role is of osmoreceptors. The increase in plasma osmolarity by only 1% is a very strong stimulus for the release of the ADH, but blood volume or pressure will have to be changed by at least 10% for it to become a stimulus for the release of the ADH. Usually day-to-day basis, the osmolarity is the major regulator of release of ADH, but in case of severe hypovolemia or hemorrhage, the cardiovascular reflexes may dominate. despite being the normal plasma osmolarity, they will still stimulate the production of ADH in severe situations. Other stimuli for ADH release: increased osmolarity, decreased volume and pressure. Other than that, there are many more. For example, hypoxia. And if we reverse them, they will be the stimulus for decreased ADH release. Among miscellaneous factors, you can see alcohol decreases the release of ADH, thus having its diuretic action. So that's all about the osmoreceptor ADH system. Now we will look into the thirst mechanism. This also responds to the plasma osmolarity whenever there is hyperosmolarity. Again, the same osmoreceptors that we discussed in the ADH system are responding. Preoptic nuclei, organum vasculosum, lamina terminalis, subfornical organ, and these are located in the AV3V region. Together we call it the thirst center. They are activated by the hypotonic solution or increased CSF osmolarity, or in response to the neural outputs, for example, coming from the vagus and the glossopharyngeal nerve via nucleus of tractus solitarius. Increased thirst can be because of increased plasma osmolarity. Also, it can respond to low blood volume, decreased blood pressure. Angiotensin 2 also stimulates thirst or dry mouth via the neural input. And we can reverse it to see it as the cause of decreased thirst. For example, decreased osmolarity, increased blood volume or pressure, decreased angiotensin 2, or gastric distension. Disorders of thirst: there can be polydipsia, excessive thirst, for example, seen in diabetes mellitus when there is osmotic diuresis and high plasma osmolarity. Diabetes insipidus, it is ADH related. Psychogenic polydipsia is a psychiatric illness, and this can cause hyponatremia if intake is exceeding than the renal correction. Absent thirst, adipsia, this may occur in the lesions of the hypothalamic thirst centers. Reduced thirst, hypodipsia, seen in stroke patients, elderly or ill patients. Overall, the plasma osmolarity is going to be maintained by a combination of ADH and thirst mechanism both. Even with a very much rise in the sodium intake, still the plasma sodium level changes only 1 to 2%. If any of these two fail, the person may experience large fluctuation in the plasma sodium concentration or serum osmolarity. We are talking about the sodium, but we haven't talked about the renin-angiotensin aldosterone system, which has a quite good role to play in the sodium reabsorption. But this is not the major determinant in maintaining plasma osmolarity. It influences sodium reabsorption, but not the osmolarity or its concentration. It is although a major determinant of plasma and ECF volume. Can you think why? Because whenever the sodium is reabsorbed in response to angiotensin or aldosterone, this is followed secondarily by the reabsorption of water as well. So overall, although more sodium is absorbed, but water is also absorbed, and this reabsorption stays isoosmotic and has little influence on the plasma osmolarity or sodium concentration. But increased absorption of both of these together can lead to a high plasma volume or ECF volume. So this is a determinant for volume, not a major determinant for osmolarity. Salt appetite is a concept. Increased desire to intake salt. It can have a hedonic component, which is because of increased salt desire because of a psychological component even without a deficit. And the other is the regulatory component, in which the increased drive is because of the low sodium levels, which is responding by the circulatory reflexes or the thirst center. So key takeaways: ADH thirst mechanisms are fine-tuners of osmolarity. Renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system is majorly volume regulator. Salt appetite is a behavior backup when sodium is truly deficient. This is a summarized role of atrial and brain natriuretic peptides in causing natriuresis and diuresis. This also has an indirect role to play in the volume maintenance, but a less role to play in the osmolarity maintenance. That's all. Thank you.